Have you ever thought to yourself, while you're going about your daily business, I need a chicken? No, no, no. Not that kind of chicken. These kinds of chickens. You haven't? I'm sure some of you have at some point thought, you know what I really need in my life right now is a chicken. And if you haven't thought that, I'm sure you're thinking about chickens now and you're wondering, if I want a chicken, how do I get a chicken? Where do chickens come from? Can I buy a chicken from a store? Do you order them online? Can they be shipped through the mail? There's just so many questions. And the answer to all of these questions is yes, if you look in the right place. You can't buy a chick at Walmart or Target or Whole Foods, but you can definitely buy them at farm supply stores certain times of year. You can also buy them online, but you're not going to find any through Amazon. You're going to have to find online hatcheries, and how are those chicks going to get to you? Why, they're going to get shipped through the United States Postal Service, which is the only place that will ship live chicks. So that's it. I've answered all your questions, right? You now know where to get chicks. But wait. I told you where you can get chicks, but where do those chicks come from? Well, chickens are birds. Birds lay eggs. Chicks come out of eggs. But how do we get from having an egg to having a chick? Because that is the really interesting question. And it takes a lot of different things to go from having eggs to having chicks. Let's start off by talking about the kind of egg you need, because you probably have an egg in your fridge right now. You can't go get that egg and expect it to hatch into a chick. It's just not gonna work. You have to have the perfect egg in order to get a chick out of it. And let me tell you what that perfect egg must be. It has to be fertile. That egg that came out of your fridge is probably not fertile. It has to be clean. I really hope that egg that came out of your fridge is clean. It also can't have ever gotten too hot or too cold. Your egg has been in the fridge and it's got way too cold. And if an egg gets too hot, then that means it can't turn into a chick either. The last thing is it can't be too old either. You also can't have any cracks, any damage to the egg. If your egg got really shaken up, going from one place to another, it's going to be a lot harder for it to hatch. So you have to make sure that you have the absolute perfect egg in order to get a chick out of it. So now you know what the perfect egg is, but where are you supposed to find this perfect egg? Here's a good place. Okay, this looks perfect. Very fresh. Now that we have our hopefully perfect egg, we can start incubating that egg. And in order to properly incubate that egg, we're going to need 4 basic things. We're going to need time, temperature, humidity, and movement. For time, it's going to take 21 days for our egg to turn into a chick. For temperature, you're going to have to keep that egg at 99.5 degrees Fahrenheit for 21 days. Now it can go up a little, it can go down a little during that time, but you really need to keep it at that temperature for the whole 21 days for the best results. And humidity, you have to keep that between 50 and 60%. I'll talk about why in just a second, and that's really not hard to do when you live in Alabama because it's pretty humid most of the time. You're also going to have to provide movement. You have to turn those eggs every day because when the chick grows, if you don't turn that egg, the chick can end up stuck to one side and that can cause deformities. It can keep them from hatching. So you have to make sure you're turning that egg very gently. Now, why you need the humidity to be between 50 and 60% is also why you need your egg to be clean. Because you may look at an egg and say, you know what, that egg looks really hard. It looks pretty solid to me. But that's where you're wrong because eggs are actually very porous and that means there's a lot of little tiny holes in those eggs. And that means that bacteria can sneak in through those little holes and get into the egg and make your developing chick sick and it'll stop growing. And that also means that the liquid inside the egg can evaporate through those tiny holes. So if your humidity is too low, you're going to lose too much liquid that chick needs inside the egg. So that's why you have to make sure your humidity is between 50 and 60%. As a little bonus for you guys, I want to show you a picture of this egg, which is actually an egg that was laid completely without its shell. So you have the outer hard shell of the egg, and then there's this softer, squishier inner membrane. And this hen had something happen where she just laid the soft, squishy part inside and not the eggshell. Don't worry, this chicken is perfectly fine. She was just ready to take a break from laying an egg, and this one just came out a little weird. But I think this is really cool, and I wanted to show you guys what an egg looks like without its shell. Okay, here it is. We're ready to incubate our egg, keep it at all the perfect parameters, the best temperature, the best humidity, provide movement, do everything we're supposed to do for 21 days in order to get a chick. But now we have to answer another question. How are you going to do that? And there are two options. You can go with a broody hen or you can go with a machine. Without a doubt, the broody hen is going to be the easiest way for you to incubate your eggs. She is the perfect temperature. She knows she has to stay on them for 21 days. Because the eggs are right next to her skin, the humidity is going to be perfect. Also, even though she gets up once a day to have a snack, to get a drink, and have a potty break, she's only going to get off that nest if she thinks it's warm enough that the eggs will be fine for her to go away and come back. Also, when she gets on and off the nest, this provides the movement they need, and she can also move them around with her legs and her feet. So, the broody hen is the perfect way to incubate eggs. You just have to give her a safe, dry place to sit on her eggs for 21 days, and there is nothing cuter than a mother hen with her chicks. Now, how do you know if your hen is broody? Well, she gets really big, she gets really angry, she makes a lot of noise, and also, if you give her an egg, she'll do this. Now I know broody hens sound like the perfect way to do it, and you may be wondering, why would you ever hatch eggs any other way? And well, sometimes your chicken just isn't in the mood to hatch eggs. She has to have decided it's now time for me to sit on this nest and hatch eggs. And you saw what a broody hen does when you give her an egg, so why don't we see what a non-broody hen does when you try to give her an egg?
Now, if you don't have a broody hen, you're gonna have to go the artificial route. You will have to use an incubator. And you can actually build your own incubator pretty easily. You just need something that provides heat, like a light bulb. You'll have to wire it into a thermostat to make sure it stays at the right temperature, and you'll need a way to control the humidity. So either a sponge you can wet, or little troughs that will hold water. But if you're not an electrician, it's a little bit easier just to go out and buy one. You also may want an automatic egg turner. You can turn those eggs by hand, but it's easy to forget and they do need to be turned. So we've got our incubator. We also have our perfect egg, and we're ready to get started incubating. And now you have all of your perfect eggs inside your incubator, and I'll show you the automatic turner. Rolls all of the eggs over a couple times a day so they develop correctly. And now it's the hard part, is you have to wait 21 days.
And that's it. That's how you get chicks out of an egg. But not quite. Because even after your chick develops, it still has to get out of that really hard egg. And that's actually a really fascinating process too. So let's take a second and let's talk about how your little chick is going to get out of this egg. The first thing you need to know is that there is a pocket of air on the big end of the egg, right there. And that is going to be the first air the chick breathes. Now the chick has been growing and getting in position for 21 days, and now it's ready. So the first thing it's going to do is it's going to poke through the membrane of the egg and get into that air cell. And that's when you're going to start to hear your chick peeping. And that's when things start to get really exciting. Well, they start to get exciting because hatching can take anywhere from a couple of hours to a couple of days. It's exhausting for a chick, and sometimes after they make this first move, which is called an internal pip, it can be almost 48 hours before you see them outside the egg. Now that the internal pip is out of the way, it's time for the external pip, and this you'll be able to see because this is when the chick pokes through the eggshell, and you may just see a little dent, you may see a hole, you may see a little beak, and those chirps are going to get a lot louder. But be patient because, like with the internal pip, it can take a while after that happens for the chick to hatch. Because this is really very exhausting for this little chick who hasn't ever done anything before to just break out of this super hard eggshell. Also, the chick may still be absorbing the yolk and getting ready to come out, so even if you think it is taking your chick too long to get out of the egg, it's very important that you do not help them out unless you really know what you're doing, and just let them do what they need to do. Now it's time to get excited because now your chick is zipping. That means in a couple of minutes, you're going to have a chick. What's happening here is that little chick is poking its beak through that eggshell, and it's also spinning around inside the egg. So it's going to unzip itself from the egg. And you can see that this egg has made a complete circle around, and now it's about to kick itself free of that egg. And she's out! Congratulations, you have hatched a chick. You've gone from egg to chick in the incubator. Now, when your chick comes out, you may think there's something wrong. They're just lying there. They're very floppy. They've got this really big belly. They're not cute. What is wrong with this chick? And chicks come out of the egg. They're kind of floppy and squishy and they don't look cute, but give them some time and they will fluff up. They'll start running around like nobody's business. And in a couple of hours, you're going to have a bunch of super cute chicks. But if you hatched your chicks out of the incubator, your journey is not done because you are now the chick mom. You have to make sure your babies have a source of heat. You can either get a heat plate or you can get a heat lamp. You have to make sure they have fresh fruit and water. And you also, most importantly, have to make sure they have a safe place to grow up because they're very small and lots of things can happen to them. And that's it. That's how you go from egg to chick. And in 6 months, your chicken is going to, if you hatched a hen, lay an egg and the process starts all over again. And now you know where chickens come from. They come from eggs that come from chickens that also came from eggs. Which is why we have the question of which comes first, the chicken or the egg? And today I'm going to answer that with it just depends on which you buy and what you start with. Hope you guys learned some interesting facts about chickens today and enjoyed our special little presentation on modern dinosaurs.